we had really good access to a lot of weed. Yo, shout out to Speed and Peter who left those pounds in the closet.
This is The Refresh. I am Craig Smith, joined by Grammy Award-winning producer. Yeah? Grammy Award winner.
Laugh at all the accolades.
My Grammy Award winner, executive.
I would say executive producer, yes.
Executive producer, A&R.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very proud of those things.
And as well you should be. I'm here with Adrian Miller.
Humbled to be here. Thank you, Craig.
Man, thank you so much for showing up. So just now we've been talking about, my question for you is like about managing talent and managing the business as a deal. Like this isn't really like a hip hop 101 show, but just because I'm interested, how do you assert the artist as being important to a juggernaut of a label, or in putting them out there and for shows or publications, everything?
I think that first of all, managers, I'm gonna say it in two parts. Managers get the very raw end of the stick if you really understand the etiquette and step-by-step placement of what your job description is.
Yeah.
I try to manage expectations. Just keep it all 100.
Right.
The idea is there is nothing but expectations thrown at you from every angle, specifically from the artist that wants to be successful. And you gotta think about how to take all of those expectations and turn them and frame them into the descriptive of what your operation of activities will be day to day, day in, day out. So the way in which you advance him, or as y'all like you just said, juggernaut them to, is every way. Music is everything.
Yeah.
So you do everything to do music, and that's my gauge or device or instrument of choice. Like my instrument of choice is taking the expectations through something to manifest them into
results.
An end result.
Yeah. So that makes sense. And so I'm wondering where that comes from. In my research of you, we're both Show Me State.
I love it.
we trace our origins to Missouri.
Yes, sir.
You from the East, me from the West. You're from St. Louis. Like, how does your path lead you into this realm of hip hop?
Wait a minute. I've never heard anybody say from the East and West of Missouri.
Yeah.
That's a cold piece. You should trademark that. Get a t-shirt.
The East and West of Missouri.
At least a t-shirt got to be done.
Yeah, I got to create logos. You need a second one of one, one of two of two.
There it is. So growing up, it's always been about dancing, music, dancing. I don't know what started first. Probably the music to the dance. Because it was just like, oh, Adrian, get over here and do this.
Right, for your family and everything.
Yeah, and my dad, interesting enough, owned a record store, Black Circle Records, off, North Kings Highway. And a lot of people used to come by there, and shows come into town, artists had to come in and do that. I ain't know nothing about none of that. I just knew that I liked the way the artwork on records looked compared to the song that was being played in the store. So he was like, oh, this is the record that's being played. And it would just...
Yeah. Like, what were the covers that you were really into? That the music sort of...
I don't know, some ill ass, it just... The albums that he had access to were... For now, they would be digging in the crates for us. But then it was just like this artist barely even had any kind of following or anything like that. So it was super obscure probably. But Commodores, Earth, Wind, and Fire, all that kind of typical thing that was getting...
And you had access to all of this as a kid.
I had access to everything he had access to. I was... whenever I would go to the record store, and then listening to the radio. I'm a big fan of the radio. Obviously, that was where, in my... era. That's where we got all of our music from. So I was the radio, the church, anywhere I could hear music and it felt good.
Yeah.
I would always just be gravitated towards it. Yeah.
And so you take that inspiration of loving music, because what I gather is that you are for the music, like for the art,
Oh,
not even just
yeah,
music, but I mean like
100%. It's about music. It's just about the music. Everybody who knows me says since day one, all they've known, I was walking around in the second grade.
Yeah.
One of my longest friends will tell you the whole story that he saw me first. When he saw me, he was just like, "Do you have a transistor radio?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to get the thing to play something." And it was like, I couldn't get and I was, "Hold still, don't move." And I'm on the playground with a little transistor, trying to get the song keyed in. Damn. And yeah, so it was always moving around and always sneaking electronics around and taking stuff apart. And I was
just for the music.
I was super geeky like that.
And you have a real big international flair for international music. Did that start as a kid?
It probably, yeah, because I didn't differentiate Fela Kuti or King Sunny Ade or any of the African greats to James Brown or anybody else. I just always thought it was one and the same. Like if they listening to it, I'm listening to it too.
Yeah, damn. Like that's one thing that I guess, again, being from Kansas City, like it was just listen to rap. Like, you know, my pops was listening to.
That's interesting too, because like I think we would automatically hear from our family,
right,
where we would find the music, yeah. And my dad wasn't on no international music necessarily, but he wasn't running from, you know, real salsa music, and real salsa music is African art.
Exactly.
So if you start to deconstruct down, you find our heritage goes right to the centerpiece of the drum, and it never ends. And so like, I don't like to complicate it. I just try to enjoy it and take it for face value. Like whoever the artist is, that's their job to give us the complicated thing in bite-sized chunks. Yeah. Got
you. So you from St. Louis, record store with Pops, always trying to get to the, because I want to get a well-rounded view of who you are as you insert yourself into not just hip hop as a culture, because I mean it just kind of pervades everything that we do.
Then you got to start with dancing. The record store part was really so because Dad was really so in my life like that. Like everything he ever gave me, I have still to this day. God rest his soul. But he didn't give me the choice of being raised and being taught how to be a grown man. That was my stepfather. That was mentors around me. I give that to them. But and the women in my life, I gotta say that as well. But
100%.
Also, growing up, it was all about my aunt, my cousins. Adrian, little Adrian, get over here and show me this. You know how to rock. And I can remember Kano's "I'm Ready." Ready, I'm ready.
I gotta look it up after this.
Yeah, I know. I'm not
make a note for me.
But that song was really like the big record, and it was a disco record that had a very electronical vibe to it. And the rock was the jam. If you could rock, you could be at the club. And I had to be 7, 8 years old. I couldn't have been but it was a teenager club. So they were like, you have to be 12, 14, something, whatever you got to be. I was not old enough to be there. And my cousins snuck me in. I got a chance to show everybody in the club that I could rock. And we got ushered right the hell on out of there. Because they were like, what is this little kid doing in here?
Shout out to cousins. Cousins be getting you some shit.
Shout out to my cousin Brenda. If she wasn't pinching me with a pen, she was trying to make me rock.
And was that like when you were able to do that, get the attention and everything, and then just have a show up in that way, did that sort of like change everything for you?
I remember dancing for my family, and it always putting a smile on their face, put a smile on my face. And I felt like that was easy. Like, give me a real challenge. And they would always be like, yo, this person dances way better than that person. And I'm like, I can do that, and I just do it. It was one of those things where I didn't know how to manage expectations. I just did whatever anybody expected of me.
Right.
Yeah.
You were flexing talent. Like, that's something that I think made me adept at making music, because when I would see other people record, Kansas City was very small. So like being a rapper in Kansas City was you're either this good or you're Tech 9. And so I was like, I gotta be better than all these niggas. And like, as I was becoming this person and making music, it was just like, can you do this? I'm like, yep. Can you do that? Yep. Started making music for film and TV. It was like, we need some trap music. Never made trap music. It was all boom bap at that point.
Right.
I was like, done. And so like, I feel that like, it's just more like stretching yourself as much as you can. And then as it,
you don't know if you're going to expand to the point where you pop. You just know you can do it.
Exactly.
It's the thread of, I'm going to see. We going to see.
We going to see. We going to see. When did We Gonna See get you in trouble?
When are We Gonna See get me in trouble?
Can you pull your mic a little bit closer?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Woohoo. We Gonna See probably got me in trouble first when, unfortunately, I was all over town on the radio. Thought I was the look.
Still in St. Louis?
Yeah. I was all over town. I'm telling you, this is early, like still 8 years old. I ain't even past 8 years old. And I was struck by a car. I was not supposed to be going to the school. My mom had snuck me into this private school in St. Louis, and it was downtown, and we lived on the other side of town, and she was not anywhere around, and the people whose house I stayed at went to work in the morning. So there was no one around when I was hit by the car, and I didn't have the address to where I was supposed to be.
Wow.
So they just took me to the hospital, and I lived, obviously, and it's crazy that I lived because around that age, I was hit by a metal vehicle.
Yeah, it wasn't these Priuses.
No. And, bumped me 30 feet away or whatever.
Shit.
And, I got in a lot of trouble, and mainly, I got kicked out of that school. And my mom was freaking out. She didn't know what extent of the damages were done one way or the other. That was We Gonna See first.
Gotcha.
Plenty of We Gonna Sees.
Gotcha. Do you attribute any meaning to that? Like from this standpoint, like looking back, did that show you something or mean anything to you from where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very cautious of how I drive.
I see.
I've had a series of things go on in my life. One being the most tragic is through a vehicular incident, I can say. And so from that, I just really respect the roads. I'm not out here playing games in the cars. I don't like to see that necessarily. I feel like, it's okay to get from point A to point B and get there as fast as you got to go if you know how to drive safe. But it's too many of us out here on motorcycles, on bicycles, trying to get to where we have to go. And we should be moving
especially
around.
here.
Yeah, we should be moving around. But we also are preoccupied talking on the phone. I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Being on the phone is a habit that we have to learn. I think we need to curtail the habit forming things that go around us, like how we use our phones, our cell phones, our pets.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have your pet with you all the time. It's not okay to use it all the time.
I never heard it like that, but that makes so much sense.
I trademarked that.
We'll put that on the next shirt.
All you got to do, trademarking, it goes on t-shirt.
Got you.
This is for my t-shirts.
You strike me as intentional. Like that's the word, like as you talk, the more I keep hearing that word, intentional. And that's in action and in awareness. So how does that play a factor in your journey? Like, do you see it as a superpower or is it something that you're still striving for?
I don't know if I have any superpowers per se, but I do feel like I want to stand on what I say. A lot of times people mimic that with just blow it off and say, you have to stand on what you. Well, I won't say it. I just choose.
Let your yes be yes and your no be no.
I choose my words very wisely. I tell people I can say no in every language. No. French? No. African? No. Spanish? No. English? No. I don't have a problem with saying no. I don't have a problem looking at the next individual across from me saying, I respect you. You respect me. We can be on the page.
Right.
I am just human. I'm going to make my mistakes. I'm going to earn my stripes. I will work very hard. And if you don't work twice as hard, it's going to be hard pressed for you to beat me at what we're doing. If there is that sort of competitiveness.
Yeah.
So the intention that I have is just to be, God fearing and remain blessed and share.
Yeah.
Share that blessing,
Got you.
Yeah.
When you're looking at what you do right now, or what would you say you do right now?
Manifest destiny.
Manifest destiny.
Yes, sir.
Go in depth with that. Wait, where does that come from? I know where the term comes from, but where does it come from for you?
Being able to see a dream, being able to see the dream in others, being able to share, like I just illustrated a second ago, and being cognizant of how that grows and graduates.
Yeah.
And the experience through, I just put it in another chapter of my book and just keep going. And so that book, I hope remains available to anybody who chooses to read it.
Yeah.
Is not a real book. This is
No,
figuratively speaking. And then, people to look at me and say, okay, he leads in a certain way and he leads in a light. And so that be the guiding force of what they get from me. I mean, that's my contribution to mankind, if it is.
That is your contribution to mankind. I was reading this book by Seth Godin called The Practice. And in it, he says something that I'll just always have to live with. He says, your art is your gift to the universe, right? And so like in that, it kind of takes out most of the bullshit. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to make something disingenuous if your contribution is for
it's for good
metal, but it's supposed to the emotions that we feel, the things that we experience, they last either in us or written in history or, just passed down as genetic information, right? Yep. So if you're manifesting destiny, is that, would you say that's the chapter of this, the name of this chapter of your life?
To define, it's been my life.
Got you.
So I don't know that will ever change. I'm always open to change.
Yeah.
Of course. But I've noticed that the through line has been get it done. Get it done right. Get it done in detail. Be able to start to finish. Understand the finishing edit to completion. Be able to close the deal. The art of closing the deal. Everything is about shutting that door and being able to marker to the next thing. So
that's a word. Yeah. That's a word for me, for sure. So question for you. When you're walking into the offices of Delicious Vinyl, why are you there and why are you the person that is tasked with doing what you were doing?
That's so funny because I have to go over there after this. So I think that I'm tasked right now. I feel like I am the guy who sits in between the war of Leslie and Mike. That's what I'm tasked with.
Give some context. Who's Leslie and Mike?
Leslie is the GM and my partner, and Michael Ross is obviously one of the founding partners of Delicious Vinyl and my partner, my business partner. So, we have put ourselves in, the business of helping international artists, a la carte servicing them with record label services, publishing services, touring and merchandising services. And so, that's a big deal. Everybody's really trying to do all this stuff. And I'm just finding myself show people who think they know what they're doing, that they know what they're doing. And so, it's taking that dream,
right,
and any kind of, sectioning of it and creating that dream into the reality of, in product, in services. Gotcha. Exactly. So at Delicious, that's what we're doing. We're doing the manifest destiny of deliverables for international talent.
Got you.
Yeah.
That is a really big deal because it seems like it requires a lot of confidence, that is only birthed out of experience and knowledge.
Yeah, I like to think that I have access to a lot of information. And so in that, I just share it and I'm learning so many different things. So the guy who did vinyl for me still the guy who did vinyl for me 20 years ago, because now you can't find that. It's funny how that works, that he's still the guy, but nobody can find him. And I've been rocking with him for this long.
I think that may be how you monopolize.
And don't even try, because every time I tell somebody something, I get the phone call next year from them like, oh yeah, what was the number of that guy? I gave you that number.
Jeez.
So I'm just really, I feel like a librarian that knows where all the books are buried. I am the hip hop librarian.
The hip hop librarian, the Rolodex.
Yeah, man.
Got you. And so golden era hip hop, which is really what Stupid Fly is founded on, and for our purposes is 88 to 95.
Ooh.
88 to 95.
All
What's the
heroes.
first thing that came to mind?
First thing that would come to mind is Russell's hat.
Okay.
His cane, like his he didn't even wear, he wore like a little sailor get down. It wasn't a Kango. I guess occasionally he would wear a Kango, but that was more LL Kangos, crispy.
Yeah.
Russell was always the like, you know,
Like I've been out today.
yeah, his was just like always scruffy.
Yeah.
He wore the scruffy beard. But Russ was I really admired what he and Rick were doing. I didn't really understand that, but I knew that I didn't understand the record business for that value of what their value was as management.
Because you were in artist mode?
No, I was a kid in a kid mode. I was in high school. I was trying to be Bobby Brown. I had the Gumby. I thought,
I got you.
Because I was a dancer, and I was like,
right.
I'm going to be a New Edition
Yeah.
as soon as they have auditions. Oh, my mama.
Let me in, Mike.
But I didn't have anybody who was saying, Adrian, you should sing and you should be in your own, start your own thing.
Yeah.
So it was hip hop. It was dancing. It was 88, man. That was my senior year.
So where do you go after that?
I mean, college.
Where'd you go?
TU, Tulsa. So I just kept gravitating.
No college.
Own college.
Right. You too.
I just would move from St. Louis to LA, and in between was Tulsa.
Got you.
So it was always all things were go to LA, get back to LA.
And in Tulsa is where you found radio. You found yourself on radio.
That's where I got on radio. St. Louis is how it all started with radio with me. And
right.
It's interesting because I keep getting so much information on radio in St. Louis, like KATZ was the first place to play a hip hop song.
Oh, wow.
Now, of course, the big hip hop song was Rapper's Delight.
Naturally.
But they wouldn't play it on the radio in New York City. And so where it started to air first was Black-owned radio in St. Louis.
Right.
And, you know, we had access to that. And who knew? We were just listening to the radio. And we're like, oh, okay. And by them playing
the thing.
Rapper's Delight, they had to play other things to accommodate.
Right.
And so that's when it started for me on some like, what in the whole wide world of get downs is this?
Got you.
Yeah. And it was a good song to dance to, obviously.
Yeah, and it remains on the show. It's like a running joke at this point. We interview so many rappers from this era, and everybody's like, "Oh," and then I heard Rapper's Delight, and then for the 20th time, I'm like, "Cue Rapper's Delight." Dun-dun-dun.
Right, and you have to. And in St. Louis, like I said, it was the place where a couple of things happened first. Rapper's Delight. Don Campbellot is from St. Louis. Rerun is from St. Louis.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. So think about pop locking.
Having its roots right there in the Midwest, right there on the Mississippi and the Missouri. Buster.
I mean, you know, when we saw dancing on television, what show was that again? Soul Train. And where was that from? Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people
and you're
know,
right
like,
there.
Boom. I'm right in the hub of it, watching. My get down was watching my cousins who expected me to have the dance moves together.
So you got to know the dance moves.
Yeah, so, you know.
They're going to have me up at the cookout.
Boom.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we have this thing with the radio. And then right around that time, especially during high school, there was a guy named Dr. Jockenstein. Jockenstein, all praises due, all respect given, had the roll call. And he hadn't even came up with the roll call, but he perfected it. And he invited everybody to be a part of it. So you would call in, you know, it's Dr. Jockenstein, on the radio, what's your name? Blah, 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 blah. And it was, you know, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Genius of Love, he would play. But but he played the, gotta be specific, he didn't play Tom Tom Club's version. He played Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Nobody knew that except for me. And I wasn't a rapper. I just knew what to dance to.
Right.
So I was looking for all the right records and therefore Def Jam, and I didn't get it, but I got it.
Yeah.
I'm still the guy who's looking at the credits, looking at the album cover artwork still.
Right.
But for the sake of dancing, not for the sake of I need to rap. And this was an era where he invited you to call in the early morning before we went to school and after school to rap on the radio live. And it was the roll call. So I took the roll call and had an opportunity to reinvent the roll call and brought it back with the Baker Boys in Los Angeles, who in turn, Felly, everybody in New York doing the roll call from Ed Lover and Dr. Dre. That started out of right here. Wow. I trademarked roll call because I knew business at that point. But yeah,
that's amazing
for me. And this is all like St. Louis, never forgetting my roots, never forgetting where I came from, never forgetting who I am. But also, I was raised between here and there. So
right. Do you think that there is something cyclical to it? I mean, like music itself is not necessarily loops, but you come to expect certain things as they come back around. A DJ, spinning records is round and round and round. What do you have that in your life where it seems like everything's go in cycles?
And we speak through song. Yeah. It's hard pressed for me to have a conversation with someone and not hear a song about it in my mind. So yes, the answer is absolutely. I find that it's a circle. It's a circle of if I just rock with it, I perfectly blend to the next record in life. It's super easy. And St. Louis is known for roller skating too. I thought I'd say that.
Yeah. That's a different. It's a whole nother topic because all the skate parties from Kansas City always go to St. Louis.
I'd say if you Chicago, if you have a settlement, this is my commercial break.
Okay.
If you have a settlement that you want to spend money on, holler at your boy because we need to build skate rinks all over the world again.
All over LA.
We need skating rinks because if you took me to any of the skating rinks right now, I'm gonna lose my mind because the music is whack, and that's that. I don't want to like Estero's always like, let's go roller skating. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to just. I love Prince, but I gotta have other music. I can't just jam to Prince. Jermaine Dupri, you get on my nerves because every time I see you and Usher, y'all jamming. Flippers. I can't go to Jimmy Iovine's house to just go skate.
Y'all skate at Jimmy Iovine's house?
That's what Liberty is always like. You just come skate at the house. I'm like, why don't y'all just build a skate rink so we can just go to it like normal black people?
I mean, or invite the hood to Jimmy Iovine's house.
I'm like, I ain't invite nobody over there. I barely got the invite. So I'm just saying, like, she told me personally, you come on over to the house and skate if you want to. And I'm like, okay. But no.
That's beautiful.
I got to get my skates too. I got work to do.
Yeah, I need to. I was thinking about turning these into skates.
Those are dope. You should turn those into skates.
Or I'll buy another.
It's gonna be hard because of the rubber bottom, but
that's true. Well, they got them anyway.
Yeah. We can talk about that.
Yeah. When so you go to Tulsa.
I go to Tulsa for camp meeting each year, which is important. I had to say that every summer there's a church convention called camp meeting.
Really?
From Kenneth Hagin Ministries. And I had to go.
Yeah.
But what people don't realize is everybody comes from everywhere around the world. Mm. Kids are bad in general. And they put us in children's church or the youth ministries.
Be bad together.
And we are bad together. And so I always led the exploratory movement. So we basically check in the youth church and then we check right on out. And we go.
So you get to Tulsa, it's like, I know these roads.
Listen, I had sex at youth church. It was important.
I ain't gonna get it.
Yeah, I mean,
but I get it.
You don't want to tell them about yours?
No. It's just that yeah.
You're a PK?
No.
Okay.
I was definitely like always in church. I was a minister at one point.
Listen to this. See, this he don't want to tell us.
Hey, yo,
I knew something was there.
Look, church is people. At the end of the day, if God is in the building or if he's good all the time or not, like people are there.
Listen,
and people gonna people.
And it was so like evident. I would make my cousins, my brother, if I had to go, you had to go. But once you got there, you understood why I was so down. Because we would get a little bit of the word, but we were out of there.
Yeah.
That's my word. We would be we was out of there. We were like 5 minutes later, we in the streets. And I mean, I had to hustle because I didn't have much growing up. And, it wasn't like money just mysteriously fell in my lap.
Yeah.
But I also knew that you didn't need money to have a good time and enjoy yourself. And so Tulsa was like this. St. Louis was dirty. No diss in the city. It is what it is. Tulsa was brand new in that era. In the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
Tulsa downtown was brand new.
Yeah.
So you had all this fresh.
They were trying to attract people like you.
Well, yeah, they did, because I was very interested in being there every summer.
Gotcha.
And for like 4 or 5 summers, I would go to Tulsa, and then at the end of the summer, I would get treated with being able to come to LA. So I come see my relatives out here.
Gotcha.
And then because when I was 7, and I'm not going to go in a big circle, but my mom moved us to LA at 7. So I was here till about 10, and then I was back in St. Louis.
Right. Similar. I was in LA in middle school, and it's like it created this itch. Like,
got to go back.
I gotta get out of Kansas City.
Yeah, it's weird that we don't, because you still, even in LA, you don't get to do everything you can do as an adult. And then most people come here and still don't do shit when they're adults.
Facts.
So it's the weirdest thing, but whatever.
I think the line is, if you come out here to be seen and validated. Because I came out here 3 years ago. I got kids. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
If I would have come out here at 20, it would have been probably a different story.
Welcome to my world.
Because I've been looking for love in all the wrong places. You know what I mean?
Welcome to my world.
That was your story?
Oh my God.
What was it like? What year was that? You said you graduated 91?
91. Uh-huh.
Got you.
Yeah.
So what was it like?
Summer of, everything was percolating. All the right people in all the right places. I was just talking to Matthew McDaniels about it. He actually documented most of everything.
Wow.
And had a camera everywhere he went. So it was
crazy.
Wild, interesting to just, talking to him. We don't get off the phone. It's always like a long conversation. And he was like, "You remember that party on Melrose called Brass?" I was like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" He was just like, "I was there with a camera. Mike Tyson was there." And I was like, "I was at the party, Matt." And he was just like, "Oh, I probably got you on camera." And I was like,
"Damn,
I don't want to see it," but I was actually there and remember, that night. And it was the percolating of hip hop, reggae, acid jazz, the celebrities. It was all in one spot, underground.
That's a crazy time to be here.
Oh my God. It was so lit. It was super lit. Like, you would see Latifah, Jamalski, Mike Tyson, Marcus Wyatt, Daz from London.
Not Daz and Crook.
Yeah, no, not that. But you could see Daz and
Crook.
But
they would be there. They're local,
Because in Tulsa, guess who managed Daz? Adrian. So when he was like, "My cousin is Snoop, I'm going to be moving to LA," I was just like, "Yeah, all right. Well, I'll see you when you get there. That's what we're going to do. We'll see each other." And and we did.
Lo and behold.
And we did. And,
that's what LA's like.
Yeah.
It's always like, "Are you here?" It's like,
yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then you gone. When you gone. But most of the people that I've seen who have come here for what they came here for, they have not left. Or they left by success. Like, Daz didn't have to leave LA, and to let him tell it, he ain't really ever really left. He just wanted to, stretch his money in Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, where this is a place to be.
I ain't mad. I just can't deal with it personally.
Same. I lived in Atlanta for a little bit, and I was like,
yeah,
I love y'all, but not my scene. Not my scene.
Yeah.
So were you managing people back then?
Like, I mean, I don't 91? Necessarily want to call it management, but I worked for management companies. Okay. So I was busying myself as an assistant. I was that was originally the assistant to Paul Stewart.
Oh shit.
That company was called PMP. I went from working with Paul over to working with Steve Rifkin. I worked under Graham Armstrong, Lenny Waronker. Dennis and Lenny at Hits Magazine. I was there for a minute.
Okay.
And then I worked for Benny.
And what were you thinking that you were working toward?
It was I was working towards my sack at the end of the day, where I could get my money together and go get me some weed and calm my nerves so I can get up and go to work tomorrow.
The grind.
Yeah, man. It was it was work. It was like, we get up, but it was different because we all cared. And I can remember an era where if you started a new job, everybody would send you lists of people you needed to be sending your music to.
Really?
So if you started at Priority or one of Delicious Vinyl or whatever, boom, all of a sudden everybody started hitting you with lists so that you could then hit everybody off with their new mailing address. Wow, man, Steve got a new mailing address. Don C got a new mailing address. This person got a new mailing address. Boom, 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 boom.
And we this was all in an attempt to make
we didn't have anything except for us. So as a cult, as us coming together as a culture, for real, like our industry was tight knit. If you worked in hip hop, you knew Brian Sampson, the Wake Up. You knew everybody knew everybody.
Right.
I don't know most of the people who know me, like Cheap Shot and them.
Yeah.
For years, because we've been servicing them with records. If I'm sending you dope records, then I'm dope. You. It's kind of automatic.
Yeah.
Right. And that way, I don't want to send this record out. This shit is not tight. My boss be like, yo, you got to send all that shit out. And I'm like, well, who made the decision to send this one out? And then you find out the decision-making process comes from the A&R guy. And I'm like, well,
and then
I need to find that. Like, that's the job I need because that guy is a crazy person.
That makes so much sense.
Right. And then you find down to the sourcing, who's doing that.
And you were able to, enough people talk about how music has changed with streaming and with the internet and who's on and who's not and whatever. But the love for music, the love for quality music, it seems like that never goes away and there's always some lane for it. How do you assert that into today's space?
How do I answer that?
Because you work like Anderson .Paak, like
yeah. But I put the sensibilities that I've always known into what I do with him. It was never about numbers. It was never,
That's what I mean.
He used to hate. Yes, I'm going to tell them this much information. AP. He's going to grind me for this.
Well, hopefully he's watching.
Yeah, he is on the trust me when I tell you that boy takes in more information than anybody I know. Like that's what he does do. You think he's not watching?
He's watching.
If you can watch who's watching, you'll see he's watching. DJ Pee-wee is on your ass.
Who's DJ Pee-wee?
That's him. He goes by, he's got aliases all over the place. He was Greasy Love, Joy, Anderson .Paak, DJ Pee-wee. He got aliases. If anybody got him, he got him. So he would say, bro, you don't have to answer everybody on my YouTube. Because I'm like, why you not saying nothing back to them? Why you not engaging on YouTube?
The community,
He's like, no, nigga, that's not how we do it. It's corny if you say, somebody say, I like the video, and you say, well, go check this out over here. Don't do that.
It seems like that swung back to be the opposite of that now.
It was definitely what he should have been doing and what somebody should have been doing and what he probably has to pay somebody to do now in retrospect. But I felt like, oh, I ain't supposed to do that. That's old. I don't want to be old on internet.
I get what you're saying though, but that sensibility of
it was just
needing to
follow up with your people who following up with you. That was when we had, we couldn't get 1,000 people to look at a music video. Shit, you dig? And so I remember Hobson starting out. We were trying to get 200 people on his music videos.
Shout out Hobson.
Shout out Marcus Hobson. That's one of the most talented guys on planet Earth.
Yo.
He is majorly talented too. Talk about somebody who may have more information than Anderson.
Yeah.
And I'm saying like a hound about the internet. I'm not saying better or less, more creative. I'm just saying
he's running the calculus of what's going on.
100% because, he started off, he was just like, I just want to act.
Really?
And he was like, I can rap. And his story is ill and how I was connected to him. Shouts out China and Livio. Yeah. You like that?
It was ill.
Yeah.
Shout out Hobson.
Ill Mind of Hobson.
Yeah.
Had to come from somebody.
Got you. See?
He is ill, and there ain't no reason why that didn't exist. And we were both just bugging out, like, how come we ain't got this coined? Right. And he ran with it.
Yeah.
So I'm the guy who's always tossing little ideas out that can be helpful to connect the dots.
Good thing you did, because it especially.
I'm in the video too.
The first one?
No, I forgot which one that is. I'm gonna just say that. I forgot not to say that. My bad. To myself.
You got to take your credit for the shirts.
Yeah, I don't want that one. I'm good.
So when it comes to like using those sensibilities,
I'm in a Tech 9 video.
Which one?
I ain't gonna tell you.
Come on, man.
Nope.
I'm gonna just choose one. Using Slacker? What? Crazy. Insane.
And dancing.
And dancing?
I'll say that and leave a hint out there for those who grew
call him. Like
he ain't gonna remember. He's not gonna remember.
Yo, Tech remembers everything. It's wild.
Okay.
But he's also positive about it. So I wanted to get back on this trail of this period when you first moved to LA officially. You out at the clubs, you seeing Flavor Unit, you seeing like London Daz, like you out there with Tyson and everything. When did you feel like you had made it at that point? Like LA kind of has a way of making you feel like, oh, I'm in Mecca now.
No, I knew about. I personally knew I had a lot of work. I was fresh out of school, and it was a time where, we were hustling for the meal. I was living in Watts, commuting from Watts to Hollywood, Melrose to be exact. And Melrose was a shitty street, but it was super hip hop then.
Yeah,
and we were really just, I called us the culture kids. We were trying to come up and figure out what the next waves were. And it was so many things that didn't exist that we didn't know what was supposed to work or not.
Yeah.
We just knew that we loved hip hop and that, the next, it was still a vigor for that next record that came out.
And who were you working at the time? Like what records or artists?
Shit, everything you could name, because we were a street team marketing company in LA. Okay. So I was I remember driving around with Shane and Malik, and mainly Shane and I would just roll around everywhere until more of the kids who wanted to do what we were doing would show up, and Minus and all those guys would show up and do the same jobs that we were doing, and we just kind of passed the baton to them. Yeah. But the thing was, work records with Digital Underground, all the Tommy Boy stuff. I was working all the time, and this is before Coolio got signed, because he walked up on me like, "Yo, get me a deal."
Word.
And gave me his demo, and I was
he
like,
did the whole "I'm gonna rap for you right now" thing, or just like toss
Coolio was so hood. Oh no, man. He walked up on me on Melrose, and he was just like, I'm thinking he gonna say, "What set you from?" He was super hood.
He was an intense guy, God rest his soul. Like,
yeah, he was, but he was super kind too, and he knew I was a fan of his whole realm of people.
Yeah.
Because I knew Dub C growing up. He was from my neighborhood or whatever.
Word.
But back to it, we were working Brand Nubian, Paul, a PMP, shout outs to P Stewart. He would get people to believe in him because he was a quintessential person in the culture. He was writing about the culture. He was DJing at the parties.
Yeah.
He was, he had a magazine that he started that turned him into more of a journalist. That I don't think he said no to anything. And I think that's, if I'm gonna shout out what I learned from him as a manager, it was to be able to take anything on and to take it to task and be able to figure out how to make it work for what you needed it to work for. So he had us putting records up at every record store all over the city. So I'm driving my little, buggy everywhere twice. Yeah. And I forgot to put that in the window the right way. And it was important because I wanted my work to articulate that it was important. Right. And then we were throwing parties. So we were just getting it at every angle.
And you could actually see the results of your hard work in real time as the records were coming out.
No. But I knew that my people, like Nick at the Rage Records, shout out to Nick, because he would be like, "Yo, I'm gonna play this in the store." Curtis Harmon would play my records. I gave Curtis Harmon Mind Playing Tricks on You. He played that shit on the radio for the first time, and I realized, wait a minute. I just gave him that record. He told me he just heard that record and he's playing it on the radio. And that's when I knew. I was like, oh, snap. Connect the dots.
Yeah.
And I got it. I understood that we had a kind of influence to get.
Right.
And when you played a record on the radio here, everybody heard it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like one or two people were going to get it. It was like everybody heard it.
Yeah.
And, Eazy-E would address me by my name.
Yeah. And
I was Mr. Adrian Miller to Eazy because, and he would try to sell me some weed. And did I buy it or not? I don't know, but I probably did. Chances are, because Eazy was always hustling, but he was always like out of the neighborhood into this realm called the industry.
Right.
He was super respectful. But he carried this ominous like character. He was a little bit of, because of his shortness, there was no Napoleon complex. He was just cool. He would look up at you. It was very Vato meets, I think Suge got his Suge Knighton from Eazy-E. I think so. And there was that kind of element to him, but he was always by himself. So you didn't get, like, if Eazy and you were talking, you pretty much just talking to him.
Yeah.
So, he wasn't always like, when he would be solo, and anybody who knew him knew that.
Got you.
So he would corner me and talk to me and be on some like, Mr. Adrian Miller. And I'm like, how the fuck does Eazy know who I am? And he was
and
like,
what were people coming to you for at this point?
Helped them get their record deals. I know you know Paul. I know you know Kim Bowie. I know you know Mike Ross. I know you know Orlando.
Yeah.
You could take me to Rifkin. It was one of those things. It was never like, yo, I don't know how to get you no record deal. And I can take you over to Nick at the Rage and we could play your record, or Curtis Harmon or Michael Mixon Moore will play your record for me.
You were becoming the library.
I think so. I think that, and I make no mistake about it, that in that era, I was pretty high. We had really good access to a lot of weed. Yo, shout out to Speed and Peter, who left those pounds in the closet. Her ex-boyfriend left peas. Yo, it was one of those things where my cousin hooks me up with his girlfriend's best friend when I come to LA. Couldn't have been a better layup, because she's bananas. She's pretty, very pretty lady.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Her setup was set up.
Hey man,
she's living off Lapeer and Doheny. I'm sorry. What is it? Burton Way and Lapeer.
That must be West Hollywood.
No, it's Beverly Hills.
Oh shit!
Like, hello, holla at your boy. It's not adjacent. We all in it.
Okay.
And I didn't know any of this, and I just was like, oh, she's pretty. We hang out, boom, boom. Next thing you know, I'm at the crib one day, and she just asked me not to go into the closet. It's your closet. I'm not finna do nothing. It's your world. I'm cleaning up her house. I want her to know she's appreciated. Yeah. I got to go to work. She's like, here are the keys to the car. I don't have to take the bug. I'm in the convertible Beamer.
Amen.
Man, and it was just like, what? I love you.
Whatever you need.
Whatever you need. And then she said, I got to talk to you about something when you get here, blah, blah, blah. And it was her ex-boyfriend was scared to come over. And I was like, well, why would he need to come over? I don't want to, like, if you want to get back together with your ex-boyfriend, that's cool, whatever, but I don't want nothing to do with that, because I'm as scared as him as he might be. I don't know him, so I don't know what he on.
Gangbanger.
I knew he wasn't no gangbanger, but I didn't know. I just didn't want to know.
How crazy he was. You didn't have a crazy out for some random person.
And she was just like, no, I just wanted to let you know that he won't come over here, but he told me to tell you to take what was in the closet. And I'm like, what's in the closet? So she breaks out this garbage bag, and it throws it on the floor in front of me. And I'm looking at the garbage bag like, there's obviously something in the bag I need to. Yeah. It was a couple of pounds of marijuana.
Investigate this.
And I don't sell weed.
Yeah.
I'm not a weed salesman. I don't have.
Connoisseur.
Yeah, I like to smoke weed. So guess what we did? We had to test it now. Shout out to Homeboy, because he he was really dealing with a mental illness, and he later committed suicide. And that was another thing of life that I learned about was mental illness and getting into that realm.
I saw you run a panel.
Yeah, it's been an important part of my life to just kind of like speak up and be a conduit for people, because we deal with the light side of life and our culture, but then there's the dark side that you know, a lot of people need a handout.
Which to even go to like even the use of herbal medicines like cannabis and even mushrooms recently, your boy. But just how much of that has been just self-medicating to some positive ends and to some negative ends?
Well, you know, early on we were around and got a chance to meet and understand and know and be schooled by Dr. Sabi.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in Lamert, we were really there. I was I interned. Like, so working for PMP, I didn't just work for PMP.
Yeah.
I was in the neighborhood doing what I had to do full time, helping create and be one of the, you know, founders of what was the Good Life. Gotcha. Helping Museum in Black's owner, Brian. I was moving furniture and always helping him set up at different locations when we would do pop-ups, not pop-ups. I mean, I would call them pop-ups now, but
like open mics.
When we would do flea markets at like the Watts carnivals and stuff like that. I would take big ass statues and just working without worrying about if I'm gonna get paid or not, but working because I needed to have something to do that connected to what I was reading or connected to who I was living around, and being of one with my people. That was super important, you know? And all too often we miss the humanism, or I don't know if that's a word, but we miss being human and humane.
Yep.
And I think that word human being is important for people to understand the art of actually being.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that on a daily. Like at this age, working backwards, I found that that's way more far important to me than just who I am in the music.
I mean, but it seems like that might be a part of just who you are in general, though. I mean, to be intentional, going back to what I was saying before, or to be so entrenched in the music, there's a sense of presence that comes with that is being.
Yeah.
That a lot of people miss because of the lights and the flair and the fashion and everything. Like the actual, like me as a kid sitting down listening to, what the fuck was I listening to? Eminem? Whatever, I was a sad kid. Listening to whatever I was listening to, like I'm in that moment, in that record, or whatever the experiential thing I'm consuming is, like grounds me in that. You know what I mean? But as far as where we take it as a culture, as Black folks especially, it seems like it's changing now, but it would be great if there was more of an emphasis on that, on being present, on what it means to have an experience day to day around other people.
And I heard something the other day, which really I agree with. That was an era where we were really just proud of being in the moment of our culture. It was definitely pro-Black, but it wasn't less pro-human.
Right.
For me, my girlfriend was this, you know, Latin Jewish girl, and again, she was banging. Very beautiful personality that it came over to this other side. And not to mention, she just always wanted to help me. And nobody could stop that. Like, you know, her parents did, but apparently they didn't understand what we had. But we were conscious. We were we were unconscious about our consciousness.
Right.
You know?
Because it was just a part of what y'all were doing.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about no gold chains. I had my African medallion.
Right.
It was more important to me to find my African medallion and get it from somebody who was sanctioned to really give it to me.
Yeah.
I didn't get it from, no disrespect to anybody who bought their shit at the Rhodium from the Chinese dude, but I got my shit in Lamert Park from the guy making it out of hand woven threads.
How you supposed to?
I mean, that's what I had to wait because he had more orders than just me. He wasn't tripping off of me. Now I was just like another one just in line. Like he was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get to you. And every week I'd be like, you got me?
What's some of the?
He's like, Sunday, man, just let your braids grow. Don't trip off me. I got you. Eventually I got my thing. So
got you.
But it was dope. Like that was an era where we go out and, you know, we would sweat at the club. You leave the club with a number.
Drenched.
You got a phone number.
Written down.
No
swapping Instagrams.
You had to get a phone number, which means you had to ask for it. You had to talk to somebody and look them in their face.
Yeah.
And usually you were soaking wet from the dance circles. And the music had you dancing.
The music had you grooving.
And we weren't there to smoke less weed because obviously I had my fair share. But we were definitely not tripping off of that. And then, you know, you said something earlier about self-medicating. I was never needing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a different kind of person. I think about how to be a monk.
Mm-hmm.
In my entire life. I've always wanted to kind of pursue that.
Yeah.
So always, like RZA and I got that in common. Like we really, you know,
yeah.
I love him for that because
the presence of mind.
100%. And you know, I feel it breaks my heart when I don't see people with that same inner strength and they're dealing with alcoholism or drug addiction. Yeah. And I tend to understand that it's because of something else. It's not because they just want to be an alcoholic, but it probably is some sort of trauma meets something hereditary,
right,
genetically set up that you weren't supposed to have one sip of alcohol. Otherwise you was going to be
much
hooked.
For you. Yeah.
Right. So, you know.
But that's all knowledge that like a part of maybe our Africanness is that we were burdened with that couldn't be our top down pop culture message from, you know, Dick Clark. Right. We had to tell each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it still goes on in a major way, but it's really kind of a secret society of that now.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. If it still exists.
Keeps it pure.
Boom. But, you know, I think that it has to translate to health and wellness, spiritual dignity, and love and respect.
I dig that. I think that's more hip hop than a lot of people think. Listen, Adrian Miller, thank you so much. Mm-hmm. This has been an amazing conversation. A lot of what I want to do with this platform is not just, you know, reach back, but, you know, draw out what things are important for us as a culture, for hip hop and where we come from, what it all means to us today. So thank you for being a part of this, my bro. I
appreciate it. And one more time, can you remind me of the name of the show?
It's The Refresh. Fresh
is the word.
It's best we observe that. I don't know. All right. We'll see y'all next time.
FRESH.
Fresh.
Stupid fly.